Before we jump into today's show, I want to start off by saying congratulations to Broncos linebacker Randy Gradishaw for being voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the 2024 class. Definitely one of the best to ever suit up for the Denver Broncos. So let me begin by asking you this. Who was your favorite Broncos player growing up? As you first began watching Broncos football, who was it that was just must-see TV for you on Sundays? Who was it that your favorite player to play on Madden was with? Get in the comment section right now and let me know. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, talking about the latest Broncos rumors, and rumors might not be the best word, as Sean Payton would describe their quarterback search, because Sean Payton is in Las Vegas. He is there supporting Dan Campbell, I believe was the reasoning, for the NFL Honors Coach of the Year award. But nevertheless, a lot of players, a lot of coaches, and a lot of media members go to Media Row during the Super Bowl week, and Sean Payton was able to catch up with Kay Adams from the Up and Adams show. And they talked for a few minutes about what's going to be a very interesting offseason, okay? And Kay Adams did ask to end the interview, "You are looking to fall in love with a quarterback?" And he said, yeah. Now, there were some other very important nuggets that came out of that interview, but how about the first real media interview he did? It was a little walk and chat with 9 News' Mike Klis, where he started off by saying, he being Sean Payton, saying, "Let me ask this question. We haven't even begun the draft meetings. They start Monday. So anything you've read and heard, it starts on Monday." I can't confirm Sean Payton, not a rumor guy, because there have been some boots on the ground beat reporters who have tossed out some possible rumors for the Broncos this offseason that Sean Payton is not having. I remember just a few weeks ago, we had Cecil Lammey from Denver Sports who tweeted out, "There is a belief by many in the scouting community that Sean Payton has something cooking for the early portion of the NFL draft. People I trust do not see Denver waiting for a falling QB. These evaluators believe the Broncos will make a big move up for a quarterback," right? So we've got Cecil Lammey saying, hey, Sean Payton, from what I'm hearing, is not going to sit on his hands. He is going to be moving up, and they are already getting excited for the beginning of the draft. And that was not the only rumor, right? Tony Pauline, who covers the NFL, he said that Patrick Surtain is on the trading block for the Denver Broncos if they really wanted to make a big jump up into one of the first selections of this year's draft. So Sean Payton, very early in the morning today, talking with Mike Klis, said, "I don't know what you're hearing, but it's coming out of someone's garage, and it's some blogger, and these rumors, they're not true." I'm not surprised Sean Payton shot down these rumors. When has a head coach ever spoken to the media and go, I did read that too from Bleacher Report, and I like that idea. We're going to do that now. No. They always shoot down these rumors. I don't think you take what Sean Payton said and go, none of that's true from before. Coaches are always shooting down rumors in case things don't happen, then they aren't on the hook for disappointing the fan base. Because you get the fan base thinking, oh, the team's going to do this, and if they don't do that, in this case it's move up, then people are going to be calling for Sean Payton's head in a year or two if they don't have the quarterback and they say, well, you were going to trade up, but then you didn't. No. They're always going to shoot down these rumors. And when it comes to trades, they're absolutely going to shoot down these rumors, because if they can't pull off a trade, you know how awkward that's going to be? If Patrick Surtain walks into the locker room, he's like, so you really were trying to trade me. You said that the rumors were true. Why didn't you trade me? Well, we couldn't find a good offer, so hopefully you don't mind just hanging around here now. No. I mean, that is just a lame duck player at that point, and no wonder coaches shoot down the player trade rumors in case they do not happen. And if they do happen, what do they care? They got traded. They do not have to interact with them anymore on a day-to-day basis. Now, how would you grade Sean Payton's first season? We have more to unpack from some of his media clips today, but let me break it up by asking you that question. A, B, C, D, or F. 8-9. Really felt like Week 18 against the Raiders was his Super Bowl for his Denver Broncos coaching career. Okay. Now, I did take notice of what Sean Payton said, which is to 2 different people, the draft begins on Monday for Denver. right? I guess that is their truly turning of the page. Once the season ends, the Super Bowl is over. They've got 10-hour draft meetings, and the draft process begins on Monday. And Sean Payton said, I don't even know the jersey number of these quarterbacks. Should it begin on Monday? Like, are you behind? I mean, Sean Payton has not had to conduct a quarterback search arguably ever in his coaching career, right? Got Drew Brees when he went to New Orleans, and then the two of them were a perfect marriage for a decade plus. Maybe you should begin this process a little bit earlier than Monday. Maybe this is how the entire league operates, and all of us draft junkies are starting way earlier than teams actually do, since free agency does come before the draft. But I don't know. Call me crazy. When you decide to bench Russell Wilson, essentially solidifying the end for his time in Denver, and you embark on a quarterback search for really the first time as a head coach in almost 20 years, maybe February 12th is not a good day to start that quarterback search. Maybe that should take place months ago. Am I overthinking this? Right? Are you telling me if I'm wrong? I could be wrong, but I feel like if you're going to make that ballsy move of we're going to move on from Russell Wilson, you should not begin your draft research and learning what number J.J. McCarthy is. I'll help you out. It's number 9 in the middle of February. I think that should be something you should start a lot earlier. And hey, maybe league execs would laugh at that and go, these guys on YouTube, they are so naive. No one starts that early. But I have a feeling teams do start that early. And maybe you should have as well. Okay. Before we get to the rest of today's show, I do want to tell you about our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Because we got the big game coming up this Sunday, and I don't want you guys to miss it, of course, if you are looking to score a last-minute ticket. And you can do that while saving $100 on Game Time by using code VEGAS100. Now, we've talked about this before, and I maintain the stance of I'm not going to pretend tickets to the big game are super cheap. But if you are thinking of going a last-minute trip, would you rather save $100 or spend an extra $100? Personally, I'd save the $100 and probably use it on bracket roulette tables. So go to Vegas100, the redeem code at Game Time. And if you're not going to the big game, no harm, no foul. Download Game Time today, and you can save $20 with the code Broncos Chat. You want to go to Avs game, a Nuggets game, maybe a Colorado Rockies spring training game. They may have to pay you $20 to go to that. But still, if you want to save money, download Game Time today and use code Broncos Chat for $20 off. Or if you want to go to the big game, use code Vegas100 for $100 off. All that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Now, let's kind of circle back to the Kay Adams interview, because it was about 3.5 minutes long, and it ended with this quote right here, and I actually don't read into this too much. What head coach doesn't want to fall in love with a quarterback in the draft, right? I don't look at that as like, oh my gosh, Sean Payton wants a quarterback. No shit, Sherlock. They're always looking for quarterbacks. Every coach is. But I did find some other parts of that interesting. We talked about the timeline a little bit. And one quote was, I think that decision's going to happen quicker than later relative to Russ. When talking about the process of finding a quarterback, whether it's free agency, the draft, or in their own house. But quicker than Russ. I remember on January 10th, when George and Sean Payton held a press conference after the end of the season, and they said, don't expect this Russell Wilson decision to take very long. We don't want to drag this out. It's February 9th. I didn't expect them to take a week, and maybe they're waiting for the Super Bowl to end because the NFL, give them credit, they do not cuck themselves with news dumps, and maybe they didn't want that news coming out during the Super Bowl, but at the same time, Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, that trade got pretty much announced during the Super Bowl week. There are always trades and big news items that come out in that week leading up to the Super Bowl when all the blue check marks and all the big J's and coaches and players are hanging out at Media Row. I thought that could have been an opportunity for Denver to decide whether or not they want to move on from Russell Wilson. So just the language really hasn't been consistent. They said on January 10th, this isn't going to take a long time. I don't know what their definition of a long time is, but a month's a long time in my book. A month is a while. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's video, when that news inevitably drops, we're going to cover it. So make sure you join the channel. Join one of the fastest growing Broncos YouTube communities out there with over 20,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 20,500. So if you have not joined the channel yet, please make sure you go ahead and do so today. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah, we were talking about the offseason. We had another quote from from Sean Payton. So let's look at it here. On drafting a quarterback, he said, if we like one of these quarterbacks a lot, I'm unconcerned where people think we should draft them. Now, you've got your top tier of quarterbacks, right? You've got your Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. And then, in my opinion, you've got your second tier of quarterbacks. And this order is very much up for debate. Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. Now, I'm not here to debate or argue which quarterback should be ahead of the other. Personally, I think they should go in the order they currently are in on screen from left to right. Penix, McCarthy, Bo Nix. But I actually really respect what Sean Payton said about we're not concerned about what other people think and where they should go. Because I do think as football fans, what inevitably happens is we get a couple of mock drafts. And then we sort of learn, okay, this player's going in this round. And then if we see another mock draft that has a dramatically different player going in round one that no one else does, do we not all look at that like, what is that guy smoking? There's no way that guy's going round one. I just saw 3 other mock drafts, and none of them included that player. But is the NFL draft always accurate? Do the best players go in the exact spot they're taken? Absolutely not. And a lot of times that applies to quarterbacks, right? Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. I'm sure if they did a redraft, he would go round 1, and it would be much closer to number 1 than number 32. Jalen Hurts, round 2. Dak Prescott, round 4. Derek Carr, round 2. Jimmy Garoppolo, round 2. Russell Wilson, round 3. Kirk Cousins, round 4. Andy Dalton, round 2. I would love to talk to those GMs and go, listen, obviously you like that player enough to draft them, but my question is, did you actually love them so much you wanted to take them in round 1, but you were afraid of what the public backlash would be, especially if it didn't work out, since we all got it in our minds because of Mel Kiper and Todd McShay's mock draft that those players aren't supposed to go in that round? I mean, it would have taken some balls for someone in 2016 to take Dak in round 1, but if they did, they'd look like an absolute genius right now. Same goes for Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. So let me know, which quarterback do you want Denver to draft? I respect the approach of, if Sean Payton truly believes, insert quarterback, I'm not going to say a name, is our guy. And he's one of those quarterbacks we just looked at that is going to go round 2, round 3, but they're going to be a starting quarterback that wins playoff games, which almost all those quarterbacks have done, I think, except for Derek Carr. Then go get him. Like, don't wait around. Don't pussyfoot around. If you truly believe. Now, if it doesn't work out, man, we got a different conversation on our hands. And, of course, you can play the game of you could get someone else in round 1 and then wait for that quarterback in round 2. But I wonder, all those quarterbacks we just looked at, how many teams played that with Russell Wilson? Like, how many teams thought, we like him a lot, but it's too early in round 2. Let's go get him in round 3. And then Seattle took him in pick before, and the rest is history. So it's a little bit of a dicey move. And yes, in an ideal world, you get someone else in round 1, you get that quarterback in round 2. But, man, if you are so confident they are going to be the next franchise quarterback that takes you to the playoffs and wins you playoff games, then I kind of respect just saying, F it. Let's go get him right now. Some other news to wrap up on here before we let you go and enjoy your Friday. The Minnesota Vikings, they broke the news themselves. The Vikings have hired Marcus Dixon as the team's defensive line coach. So Marcus Dixon was the Broncos defensive line coach, and this is now the second position coach joining Christian Parker to leave the Broncos for the same position with another team. And with Coach Dixon's departure, there are no coaches left from pre-Sean Payton. You can form your own opinion on what that means. There's some good, some bad, right? It's a complete cleaned house. I don't think the Broncos defensive line was all that great last year. I'm not going to lose sleep over Coach Dixon leaving. I think the Broncos secondary has Patrick Surtain and Fabian Moreau, and they did a really good job. So I'm more upset about that departure than the defensive line. But it's definitely worth noting there are no coaches left from the pre-Sean Payton era, which started a year ago. That's going to do it for us on today's show. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, come on, what are you doing? Hit the sub button down below.